Hello, and we are live.
Awesome. Let me get
Great.
a couple of things going. Great. I
Thank
think
you, everyone, for joining. Yep. I think
we have
we.
hijacked Shivani's show today, at least to a great extent. Uh, it's kind of funny. Not hopefully she pops up, but no, she's out today. She's I think driving somewhere,
She's enjoying that break.
and
Yeah.
she's enjoying. She's I think she's on her way to Chennai, and we have decided to take over the show today. And it's going to be more of a discussion, I would say,
Mm.
and we're going to walk you through a white paper that we're going to be sharing right after this session to the attendees and to our audience. So at least that's the agenda, and then followed by Prachi. Do you have? Will you? We do send an email right after these sessions, right? So we'll be able to kind of attach
Yes.
the PDF.
Yeah. We'll be sending the recording of this session along with the PDF of the white paper you've worked on.
Awesome. Let us give it a couple of seconds while people are joining in, and
Yep.
I am loading up a few things. Give me a second. I like the funny thing about StreamYard is whenever you share, you have the matrix that'll happen. There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
Every time it is funny.
Just to keep it
While
interesting.
just to keep it interesting, here you go. You have the matrix. While we have
Okay.
people joining in, let's my typical banter to everybody because it's a Friday. Prachi, what do you have planned for the weekend? Give me something good, Prachi.
Oh, I have, as I was just telling you before this, I live in Gurgaon, and the weather is just, it is a heartache. It's been gloomy, it's windy, it's
Hmm.
cold, it's just, so my weekend is a majority of it will go hot with hot chocolate in the bed.
You
Just
still
until the sun comes out, I'm hibernating.
I'm still waiting for you to tell me one day, you know what? I'm just
Why
leaving
I
right
made this
after this
move.
meeting. I'm just leaving after this meeting. I'm just here for this meeting. Like, I'm going out somewhere.
I'm
You're getting
traveling. I'm out for
you're
two
getting
days.
deeper into the couch with your hot chocolate and your weather. It should have been the
Yes.
other way around.
This is the new and evolved pandemic, Prachi.
Make that Irish hot chocolate. Maybe you'll go out.
Okay. No, but you actually are here just for this, right? And then you're going on a
I
ride.
have I have I am. I have finished a couple of meetings. I have one more call after this one. So
Hmm.
I'll be leaving for me and Shrikant, who's the head of engineering at Question Pro. We were four of us. I think one got COVID, one fell sick.
Oh my God.
Then
Hmm.
then there were two. But we the funny story is that we've all obviously we've broken the time out professionally, personally. We've asked our wives, we've told them we have the approvals that we
Hmm.
need from everywhere. So we cannot cancel anymore. So even if it's two, we still got to go. we
This
cannot
is a
we
big
cannot
plan. A lot
it's a
went
big
behind
plan.
this.
It's rare you get these weekend windows wherein you can spend the whole weekend
Yeah.
outside, right? So we want to capitalize on that, and yeah,
Hmm.
hopefully I will see you guys. I think I'll be probably off Monday. I'll be riding back on Monday, and then Tuesday
Hmm.
I'll be back
Nice.
online. That's that. I think
And
Monday
this is
night
a
I have
3 kilometer ride, right? One way,
not
three
three.
kilometers.
It has to be three
Oh,
hundred, not
300,
three.
sorry. Yeah, not three. You'd be back really fast.
I'll just take a circle of my apartment and I'm
Yeah,
done. I'm done.
maybe I'm going to be doing the 3 kilometer.
There
Yeah.
you go. I think you mistook our plans for each other. There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that
Great.
is. I think we have a bunch of people joining in. Um,
Yep.
let's jump into it. Not a very extensive session like probably Shivani and these guys do, but something that I wanted to talk about and share before we send the white paper that we have created. And the topic of the white paper is obviously using agile market research methods versus traditional market research methods to run market research projects realistically, right? And we've seen this over. over time, and even today, when you have enterprise companies, FMGCs run market research projects, it's a extremely tedious process.
Mhm.
There are market research scope meetings which go on for months together. Then there's budget planning, resourcing. Many a times there's an RFP that goes out. There are so many people involved in it, and so many organizations involved, right? You have your own research team that is putting that, scoping it together. You have stakeholders that are giving inputs. You take all that, you go to a market research agency, and there are many of them. I'm not going to name them, but there are your Nielsen's, Kantars, all the ones out there, right? And it has a whole process that is associated with it. It takes time. There is scoping that needs to be done. Then there's budget approvals, um, and I've seen this happen time and again, wherein it takes. I've seen projects fall through the cracks, and before the market research projects even start, just scoping it and churn of people in these projects and a lot of problems that come with it, right? And from I saw this trend change in probably early 2008 9. That's when it started changing, wherein market research teams within organizations started getting empowered, right? And what do you mean by this empowerment is they started doing, they broke down research projects, and the smaller bits that could be done by market research companies or softwares like Question Pro. You have a lot of companies out there that can help you with this, but basically getting more agile in doing your research. So what they started doing is they started breaking it down into bits and pieces. So the more complex ones that they didn't have access to the audience, or um, to the database, or to the program, that, or the programming was complex, they've left it to the research agencies. And the smaller data collection sets that were easier to set up, that were easier to launch, they started doing on their own, and then obviously bringing the data together and compiling one final report out of it, right? That process itself has evolved significantly. And I'll give you an example with or a research method called as Gabor Granger. Now, Gabor Granger is used by research teams and market researchers for price sensitivity, to understand the perfect price to demand correlation for a product, right? And a friend of mine, based in Australia, who specializes in this research, and that's how I actually we came to know of each other, is he had engineers that were programming these research methods or these research questionnaires for him. He would obviously do the initial on Word documents, and then there's a scripting team that would program this for weeks together. Then there was weeks of testing, then launch, right? um, we spoke, and I said, you know what, should be a better way that we can kind of get this done. And that's when an idea came up, like, let's try to create this research method, let's try to design that within the application so that it is scalable, right? And there you go. And then we were able to create a question type called as the Giver Granger question. You can go into Question Pro, into add question, and just simply add that question with a few clicks onto your survey. Add the variables that you want in terms of the product names, the prices, and the combinations that you're looking for, and you launch it out. And as and how people start answering these responses, the data is flowing into real time into your dashboards. So you don't need. So now, effectively, what you've done is you've reduced your scripting time, you've reduced the time for launch and testing, and you've reduced the data analysis because you have automated dashboards that is absorbing this data and creating reports for you. So overall, a project that would take 4 to 5 weeks, you are effectively now delivering and completing within 7 working days. And that's the power of agile marketing, and that's what we want to kind of expand on today.
Yep.
should i
And
should
like
i
you
go?
said, Adi, with the real time, everything happening in real time now, we're also really reducing the margin for error, or really companies no longer, or teams no longer have to wait for that entire research process to get over, and 3 months later, 4 months later, probably realize that, oh, if we had just asked this one more question, we would really know, we would get better insight. So now they
Absolutely.
can
And
actually adapt and evolve the surveys as
you're
well.
that's the beauty of it, right? You start monitoring this from day one. And even
Mhm.
you do soft launch, you look at how the data is flowing, you do a couple of tests, you can do so many things. And because you are monitoring all the information that is flowing in real time, you can make changes, right? You can adapt. You can change the plan, you can do a lot of other things versus handing this over to agencies wherein you now are just waiting for the final report. And believe it or not, there is still some risk associated with that, wherein the approach that their research team took versus what the organization was looking for, there could be some things that are off, right? And typically in any report delivery meeting, and I've been through uh, a bunch of these, there are variations that you have to go through, and it takes at least 5 to 6 variations of a report and analysis to get to something that is satisfactory between both parties. um, why go through that hassle, right? You have access to
Yep.
tools that can help you do this. Just log in, slice and dice the data the way you feel is appropriate, run the reports that you want, download the charts, write up the description, and you have something to present to your stakeholders. So at least that's the mindset that we want to be in. That's the mindset for the future for market research also. And I think it's the most effective way of running market research projects right now. So, that being said, we are going. Okay, this is a white paper that we have created. Um, it's a little has too much content right now. I think we're going to clean this up a little, and we'll send it over once we have um, a simpler version of this. I think I've spent too
Yeah.
much time going into too many details. I geeked out a little on this. My bad. Spent 2 weeks just writing and writing. And the funny thing is that as and how I was writing more of these, or going deeper into it, I said, you know what, let me just go all out, and then we can figure what we want to kind of keep, what we want to think we can use in a different version of the white paper. But right now, at least these have, if you go through this entire agile marketing white paper, by the end of it, I guarantee you will have a very good sense of running a market research projects effectively. And you will be able to take on projects within your organization and start delivering rapidly on that. Okay. um, Now while we start, I'm just going to, what the goal right now is, to talk about some of the concepts and some of the advantages of doing agile market research. All right. um, so there you go. So the first three mindsets or stages or explorations that you need to do for any kind of project, right, or any kind of market research project, is explore, create, and evaluate. Now, what we mean by explore, create, and evaluate, we'll talk about that. Explore is pretty simple. Just you need to start noting down what is the project about, um, what kind of surveys are you, what is the need, or what is the scope of the project, what is your competition look like in terms of benchmarking, what is it that we want to, what is the subset of the market that we are talking to, everything that is in your mind, right? The way I have told people is like, just start jotting down points that, you know what, I want to cover this, I want to cover this, I want to cover this, right? This is a discovery with yourself, this is a discovery with your stakeholders, this is a discovery with internal members who are going to absorb this data. Don't worry about how you're going to get to this, just start scoping it out, start exploring options. Anything I want to, my audience is people who have pets, who have maybe African parrots, who have um, anything that you want, right? You go all out. You start putting everything on paper, and you start scoping out and exploring your options in terms of costs and timelines. What is it? How long do I have for this project? How fast do we want to really do this? Right? Put it on paper. It doesn't matter whether you know how to achieve it or not, just start putting it on paper. Then start looking at benchmark competition. And what I mean by benchmarking is, look at competition if it exists. Look at competition. What is it that they're doing? What is it that you want more information on from your competition, right? Take a note of that. And then select the right technology partner that can help you do a lot of these projects that you scoped out, and also that delivers confidence that, you know what, yes, we've done projects like this, we know what you're talking about. Let's start exploring this options together, right? And that's when you come into the create phase of this. And when you're creating, you're basically designing your questionnaire. um, Very simple to do. Believe it or not, you have tools like Question Pro. All you do is log in, start creating your questionnaire, design your questionnaire, do a test, cross test on different platforms, and within Question Pro itself, we provide you with the option of doing multi-device testing, multi-screen testing. Run it through a bunch of tests. Once your questionnaire is ready, um, select the audience that you want this questionnaire to go out to. And this is the most important element in terms of speed and agility, right? How difficult is it, or was it, to get, let's say you are looking to do a survey, you are working, let's take an example, right? You're working for um, a pet food company. You want to reach out to pet owners in Singapore who have cats, and you want to talk, and you can even do, you can be have they have cats and a dog, or they just have cats, they have two cats, multiple pets. You can select that as an option. And I want to run this project because we want to get into the Singapore market, right? Let's say it's an Indonesian pet food company that wants to get into Singapore. Typically, what they would have to do is approach a research company in Singapore who can find this audience for it. Well, that's no longer the case. All you have to do, create your questionnaire, come to any company that provides audience, including Question Pro, ask for a quote. How much would it cost to reach out to an audience of this size? Once you have the quote approved, you launch it, and that's the next phase, and go live. And the data starts flowing. And that's the beauty of this. You can have teams research about any market that you desire, in any geographic location, in any business segment, by just sitting in a different location, right? Like I said, we have people in Indonesia who want to launch into Singapore. Great. You run a research project with the audience in Singapore. Now you have clear direction of what is working in the market, what is not working in the market, right? So that is where agility comes in. You're no longer going through the traditional market research channels. You don't need to find a market research company in Singapore. Put your questionnaire together, gather the audience, go live, right? And once you go live, then you start evaluating what has been captured. You analyze and understand the data that is flowing back into your survey through the audience that you've launched it out to. Use tools on Question Pro that will help you analyze this data. We have a lot of online reporting tools. Give you a couple of examples, and these are all mentioned in the white paper down the line. You have tools like, you can slice and dice your data, segment your data, run cross tabulation on the data, banner reports, turf analysis, anything that you want, any kind of method of research you want to apply on your collected data, that is available for you to do. Simply run those reports and export your report into PowerPoint, PDF. If you love Excel, you're an Excel geek, get it in Excel, get it in SPSS. You have multiple exporting options, and then go crazy and create your presentation, send it to your stakeholders, and you have a finished market research project, right? Well, yes, it is as easy as it sounds, but there's more to it. This is the fundamentals. This is the structure that you need to follow, right? Obviously, along with that comes a lot of things, and We'll talk about a couple of them in terms of, let's do this one, right? What type of market research solutions are available for you with tools like Question Pro or with any agile market research tool, including Question Pro? You can do product testing, concept testing, conjoint analysis. This one is a game changer. Traditional conjoint analysis used to be done offline. Bringing it online, having a market simulator ready for this to analyze the data, very powerful stuff. Very widely used amongst the market research community. Then you have things like turf analysis, Van Western drop, the very famous net promoter score type research. Then you have the ability to do online focus groups, A/B testing, heat maps, and you name it. Right? So much to do. I would have loved to go into each one of this into detail, but being
Then we'll need a 4 hour session if we're doing that.
or maybe a week also. I can talk also a lot
Yeah.
about this. But yeah, there are all these fundamental options and types of research that you can do that you'll be reading in the white paper that we're going to share. Okay. Then obviously comes the evaluation tools that are available for agile market research. You have stuff like data segmentation, cross tabulations that I spoke about, trend analysis, you name it, right? Um, all these available within click and point and click interface within the application itself. And then you have something which is very, very important for research nowadays. And this is obviously the intelligence of the survey. And when I say intelligence of the survey, I mean the workflow of the survey, right? Branching. You can branch, you can have the survey flow in directions that you desire based on certain attributes or certain selections that have taken place. You can have scoring, you can set up quizzes, you can have rotation, you can have the questions rotate, you can have block rotations, have a set of questions within the block, you can have the blocks rotate, or you can have questions within a block rotate, and so on, right? So very important for data collection, for the structure and the flow of these market research surveys. And the most important one of the most important ones is obviously quota management. What is the data set that you're looking for, right? You want males, females, what is the quota that is desirable for this research? You can define that, and the minute the quotas are hit, it will stop collecting data for that particular field. um, and then obviously comes collaboration. All tools nowadays, and I'm keep saying this, including Question Pro, is these are collaborative tools. You can have your entire team set up on Question Pro. Everybody has access to the tool. Everybody can create their own set of surveys, launch them. You can compare data. You can look if you can share data with your team members and so on. And then you can also share the reports and the data that have been collected on Question Pro with your stakeholders. You have the ability to create dashboards, share those dashboards. For people who are logging into those dashboards also can have reporting capabilities and so on. So the sky's the limit, right? Keep going. You can collaborate with different people within your team or external members also very, very fast. And something that is very important for a lot of companies nowadays is obviously the security of the survey. A lot of time, and the reason I wrote this in this white paper is agility also comes with security, right? You don't want to go for a product or a solution that does not meet the security standards. And that is one of the biggest plays that most of market research agencies have, that they have all the compliances needed for collecting data, because a lot of these projects are collecting maybe personal information. You don't know, it depends on the project, right? So it's really important to have all the compliances in place for applications and products that provide solutions like this. And Question Pro also is part of all these compliances, be it GDPR, ISO. There are a list of them here that we'll be sharing across, and we're compliant. And the reason, like I said, the reason it's still agile is because all you now have to do is take our compliance certificate, share it with your security team, and get the approval, right? You don't have to go through the whole process of sending a document, everybody filling this out, then a whole security and review happening for the company. No, it's not needed. You have compliance certificates that we submit, you get the clearance from your team, and you have the power and the ability to create these projects and collect information and analyze them. Along with that, also something to talk about would be what is the kind of support and backup that you have when you want to run projects like this, right? And I don't know about other companies, but at least at Question Pro, the way we kind of structure this is we have account managers that are available, that are assigned to each and every account in Question Pro, along with a customer success manager. Both play different roles. And the third resource that you also have is an enterprise support, right? The account manager is responsible to onboard you onto Question Pro. Customer success is responsible for making sure your entire journey with Question Pro over the 12 months is successful and you have everything that you need. And then you have enterprise support, whose responsibility is to make sure that any questions or technical queries that you have about the product are taken care of and solved, right? And this obviously will increase your capacity and agility to do projects. You'll never hit a roadblock and not know what to do. Just hit us, hit your team members, hit your Question Pro team members, and they'll walk you through it and get it done, right? So you'll never be hitting a roadblock, and you will things will be faster because you have somebody to talk to and somebody to kind of guide you through a lot of these things. And then the last bit that
So
I'm going to
essentially,
go ahead.
just before you move on from there, yeah, so essentially we don't I mean, companies don't really need a huge market research team internally to be, conducting these projects, right? Also considering that most of it, like you mentioned, is plug and play. The software is doing a huge chunk of what potentially earlier people would be doing manually. And
Absolutely.
with us having this support team, so it's small teams, one or two research managers could really be doing this by themselves.
That's the point, right? Like you have
Yeah.
think of it,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure when I lately I was talking to somebody about this and I forgot who it was. Think of it this way, right? The way I was explaining it to them is, let's say you have a team of two market research folks in your team. We give you access to three more resources that are dedicated to your organization, right? Now, effectively, you have five people, two of
Mhm.
which that are full time working on this, and three are part time, but always ready to help you with these projects. So you don't need eight people anymore on your payroll. You don't need eight, nine people within a team because one, we've automated a lot of this. We've used technology and software to solve a lot of these problems. And two, we are also giving you resources that are experts in using these applications and solving problems like this that is going to help your company resources. So the whole thing becomes very efficient for companies to run projects, and also for team members who are running these projects not to stress out and kill themselves, right? uh, we've had
Yep.
we've had people go crazy just because they've had so many projects. And within organizations also, how this works is there's a research team, and they are responsible for providing research to different teams within the organization, right? Different subset of people who want to run research. And when there's an influx or inflow of two or three projects at the same time, it is chaos, right? That's when these resources come in place. That's when technology helps out. That's when you're able to churn out all those three projects within a week or two, and you have success, right? So obviously, always think about this as your team plus you have resources, expert resources who have solved problems like this in the past, ready at your disposal, and you can utilize them and leverage them to your best capacity. That is for the support. And now, two important points before I think I'm going to take couple of more minutes, Prachi, anyway, before you
Yep.
throw me out of
Yep.
this meeting.
Mhm.
uh, Integrations, right? Very important. When you have um, when you're working with multiple systems, If there is a need for integrations that need to happen, if customer data needs to flow from one system to the other, we have all native and CRM integrations like Salesforce, Marketo, HubSpot, Microsoft Dynamics, you name it. All the we and all of these are native integrations. All you need to do is put your API key, connect to your CRM, and data starts flowing. Right, super fast, great way to get systems talking and integrations done rather than actually having developers sit and create integrations. This is an easy way to get a lot of these integrations done. And the final part and the most important part that I keep, or that is at least for agile marketing, is two major components that I'm going to leave you to think about. Is one is the ability to actually configure, create surveys with the methodology that you want for the type of market research that you're looking to do. Right, that's one part of it. The second part of it is, once that is ready, how do you launch, how do you get access to these audience, how do you get access to these, to this data set or this segment of people in the world? That's where our market research panel comes into play, where we have more than 200 million panel with specialty panels in mobile users, gamers, voters, pet owners, small business, builders, and the list keeps going, right? But with 20 million people across the globe available for you to access with just a single click, that is the power of agile marketing. And keep that number in mind. And I'm going to say it again: 20 million panel members across the globe, across different business segments, be it gaming, be it pet owners, be it mobile users, laptop users, it does not matter, right? With a simple click of the button, you can do research sitting in any country to launch into any market. That is what I'm going to leave you to think with. And that is the power of agile marketing. And we're going to be talking more about this. I think one more thing what we can do is break this down into modules and have specific modules, and invite people in who are using these modules, invite question pro customers who are using these modules, to talk about certain modules and give you more insights on that. And we will also share this white paper. Please give it a read, spend some time on it. It will give you all the information that you need for running market research projects in an agile manner, and an effective manner. So yeah, that's all I have
Brilliant.
for today. Like I said, I have to be
Just before
cognizant.
we you move, yeah, but just before I kick you out, Adi, when you were talking about the 20 million panel that we have, right? We also have,
Mhm.
let's see, at Question Pro, we have instant answers, which goes along with
Absolutely.
our Slack integration, right? So, and that is usable by customers as well, by any of our customers out there who want to run quick polls. Just a little example. Recently, I think purely focusing on the speed of data, right? We had one of our colleagues just run a poll with
Hmm.
people with across different locations, so UK, US, Australia, asking them. The poll was about what are some of the most important things for you to be satisfied at your job in 2022. We had they put in options of like whether it's going to be medical coverage, mental health support and things like that. Is it money? Is it, do you want equity? Do you want crypto? And just getting all that data now for an HR person, it's like that is such critical information, right? Like if you're planning out the
Absolutely.
benefits, yeah. And
No,
it's
no,
no longer
absolutely.
like a you're not hiring a market research agency and running like a 3-month long project to get this information and then share it with stakeholders,
And you're running it
right?
through
It's
Slack.
just,
How easy can it get,
yep.
right? You don't even have to create a questionnaire. This is like voodoo. This is this is where it gets a little
Yeah, this
creepy, right?
is
You don't. So
45 minutes.
there's a Slack integration, guys, that we have, that is that you can install and run quick polls to the panel that we have, and collect nuggets of data. And this, a very effective way of doing this also is, when you're content creating, right? If you're writing an article and you want to know about certain how certain demographics are performing, so that you can mention that in an article. How are you going to do it, right? You're going to There's no way you're going to go create. You're either going to Google it and try to find someone else's research and then probably just tag that and use that, or you go original. You just do a quick poll, get the data byte that you want, get the data byte for your article, post it, write about it, and that is going to be authentic, and that's going to be your research. And that is how this can really help out, when you have the power of running these small research for yourself without using external published articles, right? This is authentic, this is yours, and then you can write about it, you own it. So yeah, this is an added advantage. I don't think I've mentioned live polls on or the
No,
Slack integration on my white paper. Interesting.
it's going to be a longer white paper now.
I can't
It's
believe
going to
I'm
be
going to
going
add
from
more
40
to
to
it, but
45 pages. Yes.
I think that is going to be there. I'm going to add that in, and we'll share the white
Yeah.
paper with you guys. And there'll be more versions of these white papers that will keep coming. It'll be published on our website. We have a section called as Experience Journal. You can subscribe to that also. And then you'll have case studies and white papers that will be shared to you that are extremely curated. It just gets published once a month right now, because these are written by our stakeholders, by experts in the industry. So it takes time to kind of compile these white papers together also. So we'll share the experience. We'll post this on Experience Journal and share that with you guys. So you can then also subscribe to Experience Journal and get more benefits out of that too.
Brilliant. Just before
Awesome.
wrapping up, we do have a question. And I'm just going to pull up the question here. So, typically talking about when preparing the scope and timelines, if your market research study is for B2B, for example, do you have specific things to keep in mind for that, for
You do.
FMCG versus B2B?
You do, obviously. It changes a lot because the simple dynamics of the data itself are different, right? When you are putting a B2B project together, it's let me give you an example. For example, if you're doing something in FMGC, you're definitely going to be looking at an extremely qualitative approach, as quantitative as you can get, because um, you're that's the masses. You're going to be you're going to try to understand trends. You're going to try to understand you're going to try to understand demand, price. These are the things that typical FMGCs and bigger projects have, right? So you have to keep in mind, and the sample size also it's much different. And you'll be doing it over a period of time. That's what I recommend, is because you want to see how the trend is changing. You might want to do this every 6 months, every couple of years, because if you don't do that, you lose sight of how the trends are changing. And if you cannot catch up with the trend for these kind of projects, you're going to lose, right? You have to be ahead of the trend and be ready in the market before these trends hit, for which you need to do some predictive analysis. And for predictions, the way you structure the sample size, everything changes. Whereas for B2B, it is still quantitative, but I would say not as much. You can do more focused approach. You can actually do even focused research. It's definitely more focused. The audience is different. The way you design the questionnaire here, you're not looking for trends. You're looking for information. You're looking for insights. You're looking for actionable insights. That's the way I would recommend that whenever you're looking at B2B, you're going to get actionable insights that you can use immediately, rather than putting the whole thing together and seeing where the trend is moving, right? So yeah, that is what I would recommend when you're doing these two projects.
Brilliant. I think that was great. Any
I
more
should have sat
questions?
with
We
some water.
will. Yeah. Okay, any more
I'm just out
questions?
of my
We
water.
will message people. We'll be responding over emails, over LinkedIn messages, right?
Absolutely.
And great. And we'll follow
Awesome.
this
Thank you.
session up with
Enjoy
your PDF.
enjoy your enjoy your hot chocolate, Prachi. Take my idea,
Yes,
make it Irish, and enjoy the weekend.
absolutely. And I'll also make sure I cover my 3 kilometers back and forth while you do your 300.
You got to do six. Come on, you have 2 days.
Oh God.
Chalo, take
Okay,
care, guys. Bye bye.
thank you so much, Adi. This was a brilliant session. We took away a lot about agile market research and also about the fact that we love pet owners and pets. Lots of examples there with
Easy
dog food,
examples
cat
to
food.
use when you can relate to
Yes,
it. So
absolutely. Okay.
take care.
Thank you, everybody,
Bye
for
bye.
joining, and we will see you on the other side. Bye.
Bye.